There's a temptation that rises in all of us when we encounter a narcissist, a deep urge to call them out, to expose their manipulation, their arrogance, and their disregard for others. It feels justified. It feels like the right thing to do. But let me ask you, is it truly the wisest way, or is it a trap that leads to chaos in your soul? When dealing with a narcissist, it's essential to understand the deeper battle at play. This isn't just about the person standing in front of you, their manipulation, arrogance, and need for control. It's about a spiritual war that targets your peace, your patience, and your purpose. The Bible reminds us that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against spiritual forces that operate through people, systems, and situations. Narcissistic behavior is often a manifestation of deeper brokenness, a void that no amount of attention, power, or validation can fill. When you attempt to call them out or expose them in anger, you're stepping onto a battlefield where the odds are not in your favor unless you rely on spiritual wisdom. Think about how Jesus handled confrontations with people who were arrogant or manipulative. He didn't engage them on their terms. He saw through their intentions, responding with truth and clarity, not with retaliation or emotional outbursts. This isn't about being passive, it's about being discerning. A narcissist wants a reaction. They want you to stumble into their web of chaos, feeding their need for control. But when you understand that the real battle isn't with them, but with the forces that influence their behavior, your perspective shifts. Instead of reacting out of frustration, you begin to respond with purpose. This means praying for wisdom before speaking, seeking God's guidance in your actions, and choosing to reflect His character even in the face of provocation. It means knowing when to speak and when to remain silent, trusting that sometimes your silence is more powerful than any argument. The goal isn't to win against the narcissist, it's to stay aligned with God's will, to maintain your spiritual grounding, and to refuse to let their dysfunction disrupt your relationship with Him. By focusing on the deeper battle, you rise above the surface conflict, standing firm in truth and grace. Responding rather than reacting to a narcissist is one of the most powerful shifts you can make. A narcissist thrives on chaos and emotional responses. They want to control the narrative by pushing you into impulsive actions or heated arguments. When you react emotionally, whether with anger, frustration, or even hurt, you give them exactly what they crave, the power to dictate your state of mind. But when you step back and choose to respond with intentionality, you take back control. Responding means you are no longer operating on their terms. Instead, you are aligning your actions with wisdom and purpose. The first step is pausing. When provoked, take a moment to breathe, to reflect, and to pray if needed. That pause creates space for discernment. It allows you to assess the situation objectively, seeing their words and actions for what they are, a tactic to elicit a reaction. Instead of reacting defensively or emotionally, responding means choosing your words and actions carefully. It's not about remaining silent or passive, it's about engaging with strength and clarity, refusing to let their manipulations determine your behavior. Jesus exemplified this perfectly. When faced with accusations or provocations, He didn't lash out. He responded with calm authority, speaking truth that could not be refuted, yet refusing to engage in pointless arguments. This approach disarms the narcissist because it denies them the emotional fuel they rely on. When you choose to respond instead of react, you're also modeling self-control and maturity, qualities that not only protect your peace but can expose the dysfunction of their behavior without a word of accusation. Additionally, responding wisely includes setting boundaries. You can calmly state what you will and won't tolerate without the need to justify or explain yourself excessively. Narcissists often push boundaries to see how much control they can gain, but when your responses are firm and consistent, you disrupt their expectations. This isn't about trying to change them because you won't, but about maintaining your dignity and preserving your peace. By responding rather than reacting, you shift the power dynamic. You remind yourself and the narcissist that your actions are guided by purpose, not by provocation. In doing so, you not only protect your heart, but also reflect the strength and grace God calls us to embody. Protecting your peace when dealing with a narcissist is a crucial act of spiritual self-care. Narcissistic behavior is often toxic, designed to manipulate and exhaust those around them. If you're not careful, their actions can chip away at your emotional and mental well-being. That's why it's imperative to create spiritual and emotional boundaries that safeguard your peace. It starts by recognizing that your peace isn't found in trying to change or control the narcissist. It's found in your relationship with God, in the assurance that he is your ultimate protector and source of strength. One of the most important things to remember is that you are not responsible for fixing the narcissist. Their actions, their attitudes, and their dysfunction are not reflections of your value or worth. They may try to make you feel responsible for their emotional state or use guilt to manipulate you, but this is where you must stand firm. Protecting your peace means setting healthy boundaries that make it clear you will not absorb their toxicity. It means prioritizing your own emotional and spiritual health over the illusion of keeping the peace at any cost. Sometimes this means walking away from a conversation, taking a step back from a situation, or simply refusing to engage when they attempt to provoke you. This isn't about ignoring them or pretending they don't exist, it's about taking proactive steps to preserve your own soul. When a narcissist tries to pull you into their drama, remember that your peace is more valuable than their need for control. And when you choose to protect your peace, you also honor God's design for your life. He calls you to be a reflection of his love, joy, and strength, not a punching bag for someone else's insecurities. It also means taking time for self-care and renewal. Reconnect with God through prayer, meditation, and moments of quiet reflection. Fill your spirit with his truth through scripture and positive influences that encourage growth and healing. The more you center yourself in his presence, the more you are able to withstand external forces without losing your internal peace. The narcissist may attempt to destabilize your emotions, but when you stand firm in the peace that God gives, you'll be unshaken, even in the storm. By prioritizing your peace, you keep your heart and mind centered on what truly matters, your relationship with God, and nothing can take that from you. Redirecting your energy away from fighting a narcissist and toward living a Christ-centered life is one of the most transformative shifts you can make. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of conflict, always feeling the urge to respond, to prove a point, or to get justice. But when you focus on living with purpose, on becoming the best version of yourself in God's eyes, you stop letting the narcissist dictate your emotional state. Instead, you start focusing on a higher calling, one that can inspire change, not by confrontation, but through the example of your life. When you shift your energy, you take it away from what is ultimately a futile battle with someone who is unlikely to change. Narcissists are often trapped in their own worldview, and trying to force them to see their flaws or to accept accountability rarely leads to real transformation. The battle, in this case, isn't won through words or confrontation. It's won through showing up each day as a living testament to the power of God's love. By choosing to live with integrity, kindness, and strength, you become a light in a dark place, one that shines with the love of Christ and the truth of his word. Living a Christ-centered life doesn't mean ignoring the narcissist's behavior or accepting it. It means refusing to let their actions govern how you live your life. It's about creating an environment in your own heart where peace, joy, and compassion flourish, no matter how much the narcissist tries to disrupt it. In the process, you might even inspire change in them, not by engaging in battle, but by demonstrating what true love, patience, and self-control look like. You also start to see the narcissist for what they truly are, a person in need of healing, though they may never admit it. Redirecting your energy allows you to shift from anger to compassion. You recognize their behavior not as a personal attack, but as a reflection of their deep internal struggles. This shift in perspective doesn't excuse their actions, but it allows you to respond with empathy and grace rather than bitterness. By redirecting your energy, you reclaim control over your life. You no longer allow the narcissist's drama or dysfunction to consume your thoughts, actions, or emotions. Instead, you direct all of your efforts toward living out your faith with purpose, showing love in every interaction, and reflecting Christ's light in a world that desperately needs it. Your life becomes a testimony of strength through God's grace, and in that you find true peace. In conclusion, dealing with a narcissist is not about engaging in constant battles or trying to change them. It's about protecting your peace, responding with grace, and living a life that reflects God's love and strength. We are reminded that the real battle is not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual forces. When we step back and understand this, we gain the wisdom to respond, not react. We learn to set boundaries that protect our hearts and our peace. We realize that our energy is better spent living a Christ-centered life, one that serves as an example of love, integrity, and strength in a world that needs it. By focusing on God's purpose for us rather than being consumed by the narcissist's need for attention, we rise above the chaos. We stop fighting the wind and start shining a light that can't be dimmed by their dysfunction. Ultimately, our victory isn't found in exposing their flaws, but in living faithfully to who God has called us to be. And in that, we not only protect our souls, but also become instruments of grace, potentially leading others to transformation by the quiet power of our example. Trust that when you align your actions with His truth, He will guide you through every storm and strengthen you for the journey ahead.